Hello, we're going to talk about question 1 of the HL and SL mock exam. This question is about circular motion. Gives you the mass of the ball, radius of the circle is spinning around in, and see the string is attached to a ceiling at a certain angle of 30 degrees. First question is to label some arrows to represent the forces on the ball in this position. So two forces, there's two marks, there's two forces. First force is, of course, the gravitational force or the weight. So I'll just draw that in, and we'll need to label that to get all the marks. So you want a little arrow, badly drawn arrow there, and you need to label that as either weight, gravitational force, or more commonly just mg. The second force is going to be the tension force on the string. So the string is going to be applying a force as well. There's a nice arrow there. And we need to label that with T probably for tension, or write tension, or indicate that it's tension in some other way. You need to name it to get the mark. And that's those two. Now, the second part of the question is to state and explain whether or not the ball is in equilibrium. And essentially the answer is no, the ball is not in equilibrium, because the two forces do not cancel each other out. There's no equilibrium between the forces, so the ball itself isn't in equilibrium. There's a number of explanations you can use. Firstly, as I said, the two forces on the ball can never cancel out. They're not opposite in direction, so there will be a resultant force there. So you can say there's a net force on the ball. Or you can say that the ball is moving in a circle. We know the ball is moving in a circle, it's told us, and that implies that the forces obviously are not equal. There's an acceleration on the ball, it's changing direction. Any one of those four statements will get you the second mark. If you said yes, then you don't get any of the marks. Finally, and this is the hard one, to determine the speed of rotation of the ball. Now, this is a tricky question because we don't have all the information. We need to find out some of the information, some additional information before we can calculate the speed. We're going to have to use the centripetal force equation, which is force is equal to mv squared over r. But in order to do that, we need to find the resultant force. So we only know the weight at the moment. It tells us the mass, so we can easily find the weight from this number here. But we need to find the tension as well. So we're going to need to do some trigonometry. So they've given us a triangle that we can use. If this blue side is the tension force, and given the triangle we've got, this side here will be the weight force, and there's an angle of 30 degrees in between them, we can use the cosine to find out the tension. So if you remember our SOHCAHTOA, that's cosine of the angle is equal to the adjacent divided by the hypotenuse. We're rearranging, and we get tension is equal to the weight divided by cos 30, and gives us a number of the force of tension. If we know the tension, then we can calculate the horizontal component of the tension, which is going to be, I'll try a different color, this component here. Okay, so that component there, that arrow I've just drawn, this is the horizontal component of the tension, which is the resultant force, which is going to be the centripetal force. So we use this to work out the velocity. So we plug this into the centripetal force equation. T sine 30, that's the horizontal component of tension, is equal to mv squared over r. We do some rearranging that I'm not going to do for you here, but it's in the mark scheme. And we rearrange for v, and we get 1.4 meters per second. There's another way you can do it. You could go straight to an arrangement here. You can not really skip this step, but you can include it in this step. Which is a bit more complicated mathematically, but it's entirely possible. As long as you get 1.4 meters per second, you can get the full 3 marks. If you didn't get 1.4, then follow through this reasoning and do it step by step, and you should get the answer.